Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our monthly HUD OCIO Learning Session. I'm Melanie Cohen. I want to thank everybody who's here in the room and welcome. I want to also thank all the people who are watching on the internet. Now we have a much growing internet audience, so I appreciate all that. Today, what we're going to be talking about is leadership development. And we have with us from the National Defense University, Dr. Stan Boddie. Stan sort of twisted my arm and asked me to be involved in this one also because he was going to be using some of my research in this, and he thought maybe I could explain it a little bit better than he could. So I'll be talking also for about 10 minutes, but Dr. Boddie will be talking most of the time. All of you have seen his bio. He has a very distinguished career in the federal government, as well as a distinguished career in academics, publishing in a variety of ways in peer-reviewed journals, as well as book chapters. So with that, let me just introduce to you Dr. Boddie. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Everyone, good morning. How are you all? I'm sorry. Good morning, everyone. How are you all today? Okay. I am absolutely fantastic on this wonderful day. So to help us get started, of course, we all must participate. So here is the question. Each of you, or the statement, each of you who declares that you are this moment a leader, please stand up. Don't look at your neighbor. There's no need to look at your neighbor. It's okay. All righty. So, all of you in Etherland who also declare that you are a leader, all of you in the internet, please stand up. This is great. Because America needs leaders. Thank you so much. Please have a seat. So I thank Dr. Cohen and the Department of Housing and Urban Development for inviting me to this session today. We'll talk a bit about some leadership perspectives, and here is my opening salvo. I conclude that there is an ongoing crisis in the American individual leadership. I believe that we are experiencing an ongoing crisis in leadership. Reg, if we could just bring the slide deck up, please, and take a look at a couple of perspectives. And while he's doing that, we're going to review some ongoing instances of leadership challenges in America. And please take a look at the title of that slide deck. There is a crisis in American personal leadership. I know that you might not be able to see the text very well, but if you would just focus on the individual in the top left corner. Does anyone know who this individual is? Okay, allow me to share with you who this is on this this slide. This is Bobby Petrino. Bobby is the former head football coach at the University of Arkansas. Now, one might ask, why is Bobby the former head football coach at the University of Arkansas? Because a few weeks ago, Bobby was fired from his position. Does anyone have any insight regarding why Coach Petrino was fired? Coach Petrino occupied a senior leadership position at the University of Arkansas, and he was accountable to lead the men on the Arkansas football team. However, Coach Petrino engaged in an illicit sexual relationship with a female assistant member of the coaching staff. Coach Petrino was married with 4 grown children. And Coach Petrino engaged in this illicit relationship with this assistant. He actually hired her on his staff at a salary of $55,000 and gave her a cash gift of $20,000. So here we have Coach Petrino, football coach, leader at the University of Arkansas, engaging in unethical behavior. And then when asked about the relationship, did the coach admit the relationship and say he was sorry and that it would end? No. The coach is out riding on his motorcycle. And guess who's a passenger on the motorcycle? Absolutely. The young lady. They crash. The coach now has 4 broke ribs, cracked vertebrae, and other illnesses from which he is still recovering. Only after this did he admit the relationship, the hiring, which violated the university's policies, and the $20,000 cash present to the young lady. That is a sterling example of leadership in America, is it not? How many folks know who Mr. Richard Schultz is? Anyone? Okay. How many of you all have heard of the American corporation Best Buy? Yeah, we all have heard of Best Buy. Guess who its founder was? None other than Mr. Schultz. For 40 years, Mr. Schultz was the founder and chief executive of Best Buy. And for the past 10 years, he's served as the chairperson of the board of directors, a position of immense responsibility. Also, at the same time, another individual by the name of Brian Dunn was the CEO of Best Buy. Have you all heard what happened to Mr. Dunn here just 1 month ago? You heard, sir? Did you want to share it loud and proud so that the folks in the internet can hear you? Okay, well, here's what happened. Brian Dunn, who was the chief executive officer at Best Buy, was involved with an illicit sexual relationship with a junior Best Buy employee. And when asked about the relationship, he lied and said there was no relationship until an investigation occurred where credible evidence arose that validated that Mr. Dunn was in fact involved with a junior Best Buy employee, and the employee was going around the Best Buy headquarters talking about her relationship with Mr. Dunn and about all the gifts that he provided her. After Mr. Schultz, who was the chairperson of the board, became aware of the relationship between Mr. Dunn and the young lady, Mr. Schultz asked Mr. Dunn about it. Mr. Dunn said no, nothing was going on. The investigation revealed that there was something, in fact, was going on, and Mr. Schultz ultimately knew about it. Mr. Schultz had an integrity-based accountability to share this relationship with the board of directors. Mr. Schultz did not share this information with the board of directors. Mr. Dunn was fired from Best Buy 1 month ago. Mr. Schultz is resigning from the board of directors effective June. Another example of sterling leadership across the American landscape, is it not? Can we bring that slide deck up again, please, Reggie, please? Okay, it's going to sleep. So we're going to talk about another example, the former chief executive officer at Yahoo. Has anyone heard about the situation involving the former chairperson at Yahoo? Okay, you can share that with us. Did you want to step to that mic while Reggie brings those slides up? Okay, could you share with us exactly what's going on? Yes. He lied about his academic credentials. And those academic credentials were part of the hiring process that led to him being selected as the chief executive officer at Yahoo. He resigned just last week for an integrity-based challenges relative to his personal leadership. These are all examples of situations that have happened just in the past month in the private sector. Now, here's what we know. These examples of leadership challenges, those only happen in the private industry, correct? Those types of situations could never happen in the United States federal government, because we in the U.S. federal government certainly are known for our leadership integrity, are we not? Absolutely, we certainly are. The GSA, who's that? The GSA, could we go, let me see, to the next, okay, super. So, speaking of the General Services Administration, does anyone know who this person is? And these are the same individuals. Who's this person? This is Mr. Jeff Neely, former deputy administrator at the GSA. Okay, is anyone in this room unaware of the scandal involving the General Services Administration? A wonderful example of leadership in the federal sector. We have a little short video to share with you as part of this scandal. Could we play the video, please, Melanie?
Wanna be commissioner, so freaking bad. Give all the things your buildings never had. A brand new computer and underground parking, and a corner office with a scene. 'Cause every time I close my eyes, I see my name on federal time. Post my picture on GSA website, I swear. Obama better prepare when I'm commissioner. Yeah. I'd have a road show like Neely every time you see me rolling on 20s, yeah. In my GOB, spend DA61 all on fun. ATF can't touch GS15 guns, 'cause I buy everything on field rappers can't afford. Every GS5 will get a top hat award. Hey. Donate my vacation, love to the nation. I'll never be under OIG investigation. There ain't no need for RWA. Miss Beverly Chin got money for days. Some love to the taxpayer. Do me a favor, you sit down with GSA. Put your hands up in the air. Every time I close my eyes, I see my name on federal time.
So I will share with you, I found this video to be very entertaining. But from the perception of the American public, what does this video say about the leadership we are developing in American government future leaders? If this were American Idol, I would certainly vote this person to hang around, because I thought the video was well produced and very entertaining. But from a personal leadership perspective, is this the type of leadership that America wants federal government employees to demonstrate using taxpayer dollars? So you all know about the General Services Administration. Slide deck, please. Okay, super. Well, Mr. Neely might soon be former commissioner over at the General Services Administration. And as of today, there are at least 9 individuals who are now former members of the United States Secret Service. Can you all imagine? Here we are expecting our United States Secret Service to be leaders of impeccable integrity, and look what has occurred. There are major implications along this entire spectrum relative to the United States government leader. What insights have we gained from previous and current incidents involving inappropriate government employee behavior? What insights have we gained? We know some of the things that have happened. The question becomes, today is May 17th. What headlines will be written across our newspapers on June 17th, July 17th, December? Will we continue to see these examples of leadership in the federal government? So the question becomes, the state of the union. What is the state of the union of your personal leadership development? I've spent the past 15 years studying this notion of leadership. What is it? What does it look like? Where can I find that? And here are information sets based upon research relative to leadership. So, what is leadership? It is the art of influence, influencing others to act. And in the federal government sector, it is our vision that we develop leaders that influence others to act in a productive manner to deliver services to our citizens. And at one time in my past, I was what we call a GS-15 in the federal government. And this is over 10 years or so ago, and so someone said to me, Stan, you are now a GS-15. You are now a leader. And my question to that person was, okay, so is it your vision that a leader is based upon someone's position, someone's grade level, or what's on someone's door shingle or their business card? Is that what constitutes a leader? Because the research does not support that leadership is based upon your grade, your title, your rank, your position. Slide deck, Reggie? Okay, super. Okay, got it. Okay, so leadership is based upon learned behaviors, learned competencies. Just because you are the administrator for X does not mean that you possess leadership competencies. Just because you are the director for this or the program leader for that or the administrator for that does not necessarily mean that you possess leadership competencies. And here's what I'd like to share with you. Leadership competencies are not traits. I'm 5'8". I'm not getting any taller. So my height is something I'm born with. My eyes are brown. They're not changing. That's something I'm born with. Now, if my daughter were here, she would say, oh, Dad, you could change your eye color, no problem. But my eyes are brown. That's what I'm born with. I cannot change the eye color. However, relative to leadership, competency development, you all can learn to be effective leaders. Each one of us. Leadership is not based upon your age, so you're never too young to start developing as a leader, nor are you too old. And by the way, this is an interactive session, so if any of you all have questions, comments, and or observations, sure, please say, Stan, what about X? Or Stan, my experience is Y. Or Stan, I disagree with that because blah, blah, blah. So please feel free to contribute, because that is what leaders do. And you all did say that you were leaders, correct? Absolutely. So key things. Leaders influence others to act. Leadership is based upon developed and learned competencies. Leadership is not based upon your grade, your position, or individual traits. We all can learn to become more effective leaders if we are committed to doing so. I'd like to share something with you known as the Vicki. Is there anyone here whose name is Victoria or Vicki? No? Super. I'd like to share something with you known as the Vicki Transformational Leadership Model. Imagine, if you will, imagine all the lights are turned off in this room. For the lights in this room to be turned on, there's a requirement that there be electrical power applied. We need positive inputs. We need negative inputs. There needs to be some type of grounding signal. In other words, we need element A, and we need element B, and we need element C, and perhaps we might even need element D. But all of these elements would be necessary for these lights to turn on. Are you all tracking with me? And if any one of those elements is missing, the lights might not turn on. So that is called in electrical engineering an AND gate, an AND logical gate. And this AND logical gate says element A must be present and element B must be present and element C must be present, and if applicable, and element D must be present. Let's apply the electrical AND gate to my research on leadership. So there's a concept known as the transformational leader. I hope that you jot that term down such that you can execute this thing called Google and find out what does it mean to be a transformational leader. But this model says there are 5 inputs that must be present on demand. So, what are those elements? The first is vision. The effective leader needs to be able to survey a given environment, and that leader needs to be able to say, we need to do X, Y, or Z. For example, we had a president in 1962 who stood on the steps of Duke University and said to America, America, by the end of the decade, should be able to send a man to the moon and bring that man back home safely. That's a vision. And that was the vision articulated by President John F. Kennedy. So we need to be able to assess circumstances and articulate a vision. And here's a biggie. Here's a huge one. Who can share with us your understanding of the concept of integrity? What does that mean? Which of you leaders are willing to stand up and go to that microphone and share in this audience your understanding of integrity? And you all said you were leaders, so I believe there you go. Let's give her a great big hand.
It's doing what you know you're supposed to do even when nobody's looking.
Could you say that one more time again for the folks in the ether land?
It's doing what you know you're supposed to do even when nobody is watching.
And before you leave, there are 300 million Americans watching you. Could you give them your name so they can query you about your statement?
Cynthia Moore.
So Cynthia says that integrity is doing what you know you are supposed to do even when no one is watching. Thank you very much, Cynthia. That's called leadership, folks. And integrity can be learned. It's doing what we all know we should be doing. The third element in this Vicki model, what did Cindy just do? She communicated to this audience in terms we understand. If we are going to be effective leaders, we must communicate, communicate, and communicate. And let me share this with you. The greatest form of communication is not what you say, but it is. Can they hear your statement, sir? What you do. The greatest form of communication is not what you say, but it's what you do. Reflect for a moment, Coach Petrino. His actions spoke volumes about him, did it not? The actions of the Yahoo former CEO, his actions spoke volumes, did it not? The folks over right across the street, over at the GSA, Mr. Neely, his actions spoke volumes. So it's important to communicate, communicate, and communicate. Let me ask you all a question. By show of hands, leaders, by show of hands, how many of you this moment believe you are inspired? Raise your hands, please. So what does it mean to inspire? It means to establish a trust-based relationship so that others might accomplish something without you having to tell them to do something. So this notion of inspiring others, it's establishing a trust-based relationship so that others understand your vision. This final piece, empowerment. Empowerment says, Stan, we are asking you to execute based upon the competencies we believe you have. And we are going to empower you with training opportunities. We are going to empower you with learning forums such as the OCIO Learning Session. We are going to empower you with an objective and transparent promotion opportunity system. We are going to empower you with positions of responsibility based upon your competencies. So therefore, yes, ma'am, and to that mic, please, ma'am.
I was wondering, are you still considered a leader if people don't recognize you as such?
Absolutely. So could you ask the question again one more time, loud and proud, so that those in the ether world can hear you?
Are you still considered a leader if you're not recognized as one?
Absolutely, because a leader is what you believe about yourself. Now, we certainly want to be perceived as a leader, but let's face it, how many of you all in the federal sector today feel that your individual contributions to the mission are sufficiently acknowledged? Okay, very good. There's one of us. Most of you said no. So here's where we are. And ma'am, so that the 300 million Americans can know who you are, did you share your name with them?
It's Robin Wilson.
Say it again.
Robin Wilson.
Okay, Robin. So as a leader, your actions might not be acknowledged by those around you, but what you have to do is ask yourself, did I articulate a clear and compelling vision? Were my actions consistent with what Cynthia said? Am I inspiring and empowering others? Am I communicating clearly? And if you are executing those learned behaviors to enable the organization to accomplish the mission, research and practice says that you are a leader. Yes, sir. could you come to the mic because there are 300 million Americans who are listening carefully to your every word.
Quick question about that. If part of it is inspiring action and compelling people with your vision, but no one is inspired or compelled, wouldn't that imply that you're not inspiring or compelling?
It certainly.
I mean, isn't that a feedback loop you have to check and see if people are responding to see if you're actually doing the behavior correctly?
Certainly. And with that, so could you ask the question one more time so that America can hear you clearly?
So the question is if the initial question was, am I still a leader if no one's following? And part of leadership is inspiring others and compelling them to buy into your vision, and no one is either inspired or compelled, you can't be living out that model without people following you, or you're not doing it right.
And I certainly agree that sometimes there might not be anyone following you, but just because there's no one following you does not mean that you are not demonstrating leadership. Let's examine the political career of President Abraham Lincoln. How many times did Abraham Lincoln run for some office and was defeated? More times than not. So did Abraham Lincoln say, well, no one's following me, no one's accepting my vision, I'm not going to run for office anymore? He said, no, I still believe in my principles, in my values, and I'm going to continue to articulate those values in my personal life. And ultimately, where does history record Abraham Lincoln wound up in our nation? As the president. So even if in one instance there are no followers, that does not negate your leadership competencies. Because having leadership competencies says that your competencies exist when the opportunity arises. And no one can predict for any of you when the opportunity is going to arise. What America is expecting from our government servants is that when the opportunity arises, we have embraced those competencies and we can deliver outcomes. So I would not really focus on is if anyone's following me. What I would focus on is my contribution to the organization enabling outcomes supporting the mission. Sir, America didn't get your name.
Michael, lawyer.
Okay, so thank you, Michael, Robin, and Cynthia. And now, Dr. Cohen is going to come and offer you a perspective on leadership, and the same with this part of the presentation. Any questions that you have, please launch those questions. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Stan. We're less formal. He calls me Dr. Cohen. I call him Stan. So let's talk about leadership. If you wouldn't mind putting the slide up on leadership, Reggie. Yet one more definition, as if you haven't had enough definitions of leadership. I want you to look at the one behind me. Okay. Well, you don't see. Okay. Leadership is the art of mobilizing others for others to want to share, to struggle for shared aspirations. Now, think about that definition, and think about your own organizations, and think about how you use the word leadership. Do any of those things kind of work together? When you think of leadership and people talk about leadership, are you really talking about struggling for shared aspirations, or are you talking about whoever sits on the top of your organizational pyramid? Okay? What I want, the one point, if you don't remember anything else, and hopefully you're going to remember several points here, but if you don't remember anything else, what you need to remember is that leadership is non-hierarchical. Leadership is from anywhere in the organization. Just because someone is at the top of the pyramid doesn't necessarily make them a leader. This is one of the best definitions of leadership from academics that you can get. So I see a lot of people writing this down. Don't worry about it. I'll be sending the slides out. Okay, so everybody will have it. It's more important that you listen to what we're talking about than taking notes. So Reggie, can we go to the next slide, which is on spiritual leadership? That's the part I'm going to talk about for just a minute, and I'm only going to take about 5 minutes, and then I have a video that I want to show you. So Stan asked me to contribute a little bit to this presentation because this is part of the research that I have done with Dr. Jody Fry from Texas A&M Central, and we published in this area. And it's the idea of spiritual leadership. Now, spiritual leadership, it's one of the newer theories of leadership, and the idea is that people are intrinsically motivated by their work. And I'm going to talk a little bit about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation of work. Because when you think about work, it's not really you do work and you get some reward. I mean, clearly we do work and we're paid, right? But that's not really why we're working. The idea is that you're intrinsically motivated, that you believe in the mission, you believe in the vision, and you take all those things within yourself and understand that what you do, whatever that is very important, and it contributes to the mission of the organization. And that's really how you get great performance out of people and great performance within organizations. And the idea is what we're trying to get through spiritual leadership is this intrinsically motivated learning organization. That's really what we're trying to develop here. We're trying to develop a learning organization here at HUD. That's part of this whole learning session experience. Reggie, can you show the next slide? This is just a little bit about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. So extrinsic is, well, we all know what extrinsic is. I do something, I perform, I get a reward, and then I do something again, right? I do something, I get a reward, then I do the same thing again. What we're really trying to get to is intrinsic motivation. Whereas I do something, I perform well, I get a reward, and it makes me want to do something better. Not necessarily because I'm rewarded for my work, but the work itself is the reward. The work itself is so important, and I get such value out of what it is that I do that I just want to do that better. And really, when you go into public service, that's a lot of what your work is. You know, because otherwise, people could be anywhere. If it was about money or about extrinsic motivations, you know, people are in public service for a certain reason. And they're generally in public service because they believe that what they do is so important. Next slide, Reggie. Now, see, what sort of academic would I be if I didn't have some complicated diagram that I wanted to show you? I'm not going to go into this in great detail. I have a couple of complicated diagrams like this, but you'll be able to see them. It's more important that you see the video that I have for you. But the idea is what's in this slide are just some of the key factors of what I just talked about in terms of effort, performance, and reward. And the idea is it's mutually reinforcing. So you do something, you understand why you're doing it, the performance gets better, you get a reward, the reward is the work, and it just keeps reinforcing itself. It's a reinforcing circle. You know, the next two slides again are sort of, you know, if this was a class and you were my students, I could, you know, torture you with the diagrams, but I'm not going to do that because that's not what this is, but you'll have it. So, Reggie, can you go to the slide with the video, please? And I don't want to click on the video just yet, but what I want to talk about is spiritual leadership is akin to authentic leadership. And I want you to understand the difference between authentic and empathetic, because people get those things confused. Authentic is you're true to yourself. It's internal. Empathy is you have feelings towards another and you show those feelings. So when you talk about authentic leadership, what that means is you do what you believe is the right thing to do, and you're not as concerned as what the effect is going to be on other people. Empathy is your concern for other people, okay? So I have a short video to show you, and I think it can explain authentic much better than I could, and it's a video of Gandhi, and I think this will explain things very well to you.
Begin. by being clear about General Smuts' new law. All Indians must now be fingerprinted, like criminals, men and women. No marriage other than a Christian marriage is considered valid. Under this act, our wives and mothers are whores, and every man here is a bastard. This cause, I too am prepared to die. But, my friend, there is no cause for which I am prepared to kill. Whatever they do to us, we will attack no one, kill no one, but we will not give our fingerprints, not one of us.
It makes you think, does it not? If one man can change the world, what can one person at HUD do by embracing a commitment to leadership development? What is the state of the union for you relative to your leadership development? Okay, another model for you. This is the leadership development maturity model that I and several colleagues developed over at National Defense University. And this is a model that says there is an increasing level of maturity to evaluate our institutional leadership development. So here's the question. Here is Robin at level 1. Robin's leadership development focuses on Robin as an individual. HUD might not have an institutional program for all of the Robins to participate in, so Robin has to find these opportunities. She finds out about a learning session on leadership. She finds out about an online leadership module that enables her to gain a specific competency. So this approach is informal and unplanned and might, in fact, be ad hoc. However, Robin says we need to do better. So HUD then says, okay, Robin, let's find out and categorize all of the Robins over at HUD within a specific competency set, or it might be within a specific grade range. And for those folks, we are going to develop group-oriented leadership development programs, because leaders can emerge from any level. We are going to structure that leadership program. We're going to have that leadership development program to be formalized, and we are going to have a specific program plan for that stage of leadership development. And let's just say that HUD satisfies that. And let's just say then that HUD then says, we really want our leadership development to be institutionally managed. Therefore, leadership development is part of HUD's business strategy. So HUD's mission might be to enable housing management across America, and HUD might have a strategic plan. But HUD then says leadership development is critical to our mission accomplishment success. Therefore, we are going to establish leadership development as one of our key strategic levers. And leadership development is now oriented at the organizational level. We are going to plan for leadership development across HUD. So therefore, from the moment you enter HUD as a brand new employee, there is leadership development for you. It's cradle to grave, it's life cycle. So therefore, your situation perhaps will not be you are then selected as a GS-15 and someone then says to you, now you are a leader. Because Robin is a leader wherever she is, irrespective of grade, irrespective of title, irrespective of position, irrespective of tenor, irrespective of age. Robin is a leader wherever she is. And this fourth level, HUD now says, we've implemented leadership, cradle to grave. How well are those leaders performing, and how effective is our institutional leadership development program? Therefore, we are going to measure our leadership development by establishing performance metrics, such as, have we established structured leadership development for our interns who are transitioning as new HUD employees? Have we established pathways for all HUD employees to engage in leadership development programs? How are we assessing our leadership development program at HUD? Have we predefined criteria that we are using to assess our leadership development? Have we reported in our annual strategic performance report, have we reported the extent to which our leadership development program is meeting our leadership development program goals and objectives? And finally, are we continuously improving leadership development at HUD? I present to you a perspective on a leadership development maturity model. I encourage you, engage your leadership at HUD. Use this model. Find out where HUD is. Help HUD achieve level 4 in its leadership development. Ladies and gentlemen, what questions do you have? Oh, yes, sir. Go ahead again, sir.
This is Michael Lawyer again. Is it possible for an organization to skip a step on that hierarchy, or do you have to progress through them sequentially? If we've seen the promised land of level 4 fully governed leadership development, could that be implemented if we weren't already at level 3, or would we have to build up level 3 before we were ready to go there?
So, Michael asks about possibilities. The technical response is anything is possible. The practical reality is it probable that any organization can be at level 1, skip level 2, and arrive at level 3? Research and practice says it's improbable that that can occur. Technically, is it possible? Certainly. It might be a 0.0002 likelihood, but it is possible. But is it probable? The probabilities and the likelihood from research and practice suggest to us that we have to assess where we are. Let's say we perform some assessment of where we are. Let's say we are at level 2. Research and practice says to us we then must transition to satisfy the criteria for level 3. We must then satisfy the criteria. So how is this implemented at the organizational level? It starts with a formal assessment of our leadership development. And wherever we are, let's say we are at level 2, then the questions become, have we defined the criteria and the pathway and the flight plan that can enable us to arrive at level 3? And the same for level 4. So I encourage you all to consider the leadership development model at the institutional level, but I ask you more importantly, what is the state of the union for your individual leadership? Where are you relative to vision, integrity, communication, inspiration, empowerment, and your spiritual leadership? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time this morning. I encourage you to think about these concepts such that one day we can report, you can report, that HUD is a level 4 organization relative to leadership development. Melanie, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Boddie. Well, I think this was one of our best sessions, actually, because it gave us an opportunity to really think about ourselves and be reflective a little bit about where we stand in terms of leadership. So let me make, as I always do, some administrative announcements. If you're a HUD employee, either here in the room or watching on the internet, send me an email. If you're here in the room, sign the sign-in sheet, and you'll be able to get training credit for this. And I hope that you can join us next month. We're going to do something completely different next month. We've got a speaker coming from NOAA, and we're going to be talking about climate change. A lot of people don't really understand what climate change is all about and how it affects us, even individually. So we've got an expert coming in to discuss that with us. So look for us always the third Thursday of each month at 10 a.m. And again, thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.